Hey, so we are back to Mishlei Gimel Dal through Hey. Al tiga lahashir mi binascha hadal hata'if einecha bo ve'enenu ki aso yase lo kanafayim knesher ya'uf hashamayim. Okay, so just a little warning here. Meiri, who we're going to do today, brings in three completely new translations. But rather than introduce them now, I think I'll just wait till we get to the Meiri. Okay, like completely, vastly different than what we've seen, or at least two of them are. Okay. Anyway, so do not al tiga lahashir. Do not toil or strain or exert yourself. Actually, let's say weary yourself to become rich. Mi binaska hadal. So literally, that means from your understanding. Cease, okay, which we said could be read in two ways. Either it means that understanding is the thing that you're being told to cease from, meaning like you were understanding, stop. Okay, the other possibility is that understanding is the cause of your cessation of something else, which is you're being involved in, let's say, exerting yourself to become wealthy. Use your understanding to stop doing that. Okay, and those are the two different ways to read it. Yeah, okay. And just because I overheard you last night and just now, the translation of Bina is not wisdom, it's understanding. And those are two very different things. There's a word we use for wisdom, which is chachma. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and even if you don't know, this is, I think, an important methodology thing. Even if you don't know what the conceptual definitions are, I think it is important to not use the terms interchangeably because then you just mess up all your ideas. Okay, a chacham is a wise man. Chacham is wisdom. Bina, tvuna is understanding. Da'as is knowledge. Okay, so those are not interchangeable.
What's seichel?
Seichel is intelligence or comprehension. Yeah, and again, I understand that there are many different definitions that you can have of all these, but like having the first step is not playing fast and loose with the translations. Yeah.
The chachma is wisdom.
Wisdom, yeah.
And Bina is understanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, or Isaac, as Isaac used to say, discernment. Yeah. Which might be, but that's I think less clear. Okay. So that was pasuk Daled. Then hata'if einecha bo, if you cast your eyes upon it, or if you like move your eyes to it. It's not there anymore. Ki aso ya'aseh lo knafayim, because it will make wings for itself, which I could not resist plugging it into DALL-E to see what artificial intelligence would translate. So that is money making wings for itself and flying away. Let me close my other DALL-E folder here. Okay.
Crayon?
What was it?
Is it now called Crayon?
This is the actual DALL-E, not the DALL-E Mini. DALL-E Mini got renamed as Crayon, but this is the
Okay.
you can get access to the actual DALL-E now. Yeah, which is much higher quality. Okay, if you cast your eyes upon it, it's not there. And we said it will be gone in the blink of an eye, because that's like the modern idiom, because it will make wings for itself. Knesher ya'uf hashamayim, like poor, the uneducated translation apparently is eagle, but griffin vulture is apparently one that soars heavenward. Okay, so our questions were, how do we reconcile pasuk Daled of don't strive to become rich with the other pasukim in Mishlei, okay, which do tell you to become rich, and specifically to become rich through chachma and bina. Like there's tons of pasukim in Mishlei that tell you how to become rich through chachma and bina, and also the derech of Mishlei as a whole. Which, if you take this pasuk like at the first reading, stop understanding, that doesn't sound like a very Mishlaic thing. Okay. 2, what does tiga lahashir mean? What does it mean to toil, strain, weary yourself to become rich? What is the difference between yagia lahashir and then just becoming rich? Like, in other words, is the key here that it's okay to try to become rich, but not to yagia to become rich, or is this just like, saying the same thing? Also, is it davka wealth or is lahashir other pursuits? Right? As well, how broad is wealth here? Is it like strictly money or other things like accumulating possessions, accumulating knowledge? 3, what is the relationship between the two halves of pasuk Daled? If you were using your understanding to cease from yagia lahashir, how are you doing that? And if you're ceasing from understanding, why are you doing that? And what does that mean? 4, what is the relationship between tiga lahashir and hata'if einecha bo? In other words, the two psukim, right? Don't strive to become rich. And it seems like this is explaining a reason for it, but what's the relationship? 5, what is the bow in pasuk Hey? So I think we asked this at the beginning, but then I became convinced as we went on that the bow has to mean the wealth, because bina is feminine, right? So it would be ba. and yagia is also feminine. So osher is the only thing that is masculine. So I think it has to be the wealth. Okay. What is the bird mashal? Okay. So how does it make wings for itself and fly away? What is the process of growing wings? Right. It will make wings for itself. That's a little weird. Most birds don't like make wings. What does Ya'uf Hashamai mean? Does it mean that it soars skyward or that it soars in the sky? Okay. Why the nesher? Why use the mashal at all? 6, what is the relationship of cause and effect between casting your eyes upon it and it being gone? Is there any significance to the Greek sieve of hata'if and hata'uf, or Ya'uf and Va'ayef? And who's the audience of the pasuk? Okay, so quick review of what we did yesterday, just to like set the stage. And then I also want to, I found a ton of support for Chaim's approach. Okay. Okay, so we did Metzudas David yesterday, which is at the bottom of the page. Hata'if rotalamar ma betza ba'osher. What profit is there in wealth? What gain is there in wealth? V'chihu davar hamiskaim. Is it something that lasts? Halo pami avud b'shakala. Many times it'll. Oh, sorry, I skipped the first one, right? Yeah, first one is in Daled, which we didn't quite understand. Altiga laharbos asik laharbos hon. So don't increase your involvement to try to accumulate a tremendous amount of wealth. Okay, so it doesn't mean don't strive to become wealthy. It means don't be involved in excess endeavors to gain excess wealth. Okay, hon means like abundant wealth.
Like, for example, working 20 hours a day.
Yeah. Mi binascha chadal, and this is the part we didn't understand. Rotalamar meaning to say, so he's putting the emphasis on the cha. Rotalamar im mi bli atzasi. Even if you don't have my advice, chadal mizeh mi binas atzmacha. You should cease from striving to make wealth out of your own understanding. Kimato elas b'mar bizahon, because what benefit is there in increasing wealth? Okay, then he says, Hata'if, what profit is there in wealth? Because it's not something that lasts. Sometimes it'll be lost instantaneously. Once you're moving your eyes to see it, it won't be there anymore. It'll be lost instantaneously. It's as if it made wings for itself. La'uf mamish, sorry, not mamish. Mimacha chish maher. It doesn't make literal wings. To fly away from you quickly, Knesher hazeh hamamaher la'uf l'tzad hashmayim, like a bird that soars quickly up to the heavens, v'nichnas me'ayin, and departs from your eyesight. Okay, so he's emphasizing the fickle, not fickle really, that's changing your mind. There's a word I'm looking for. Not fleeting. I mean, it is fleeting, but like, what do you call it when it's like fragile, but like not that it'll easily break, but like it could easily vanish. Yeah, something like that, right? Like it's money is not permanent, right? But it could, what? Ephemeral. Yeah, ephemeral is better, I guess. So ephemeral nature of money, that it's there and gone. It could be there and gone in a second. And that's the mashal of the bird. Is he saying that, I mentioned the Rambam yesterday, that like the Rambam says, angels are depicted as having wings because it's efficiency and speed of motion. And you also don't know, like, you don't know where it's going, right? Like that part's not from the Rambam, but the money vanishes and you can't see where it went. And so that's like the only animal that could do that is a bird, that because other things, like you can follow their path, or like, also birds don't leave a trail in the sky, so like you can't track them down. So it could just like vanish without a trace. Yeah. Okay. So that was one idea from the Metzudas David. Okay. So could we just quickly, I feel like we read that and got most of the idea, but could we like just see if there's anything else to get out of that? I feel like the key is going to be in the first part here, because the second part is like I feel like it's a more obvious part. Like, what's the tiga laha'ashir? And then why does he have to tell you, even without my advice, you should know this?
I'm sorry, I missed exactly what the idea of the Metzudas was.
Okay, it is that money doesn't last.
Okay.
It could be gone instantly. Okay, that's hay. And the Dalet is saying, don't strive to be involved in excess endeavors to get a ton of money, and you should be able to understand this even without my advice. That's binascha chadal. From your understanding, you should cease. So my question is, what's the chiddush here? So I like what Sean was saying yesterday in terms of, this is not the answer, just to reiterate what Sean was saying. even though I didn't like his application of the word bina, is that everyone thinks that they're the exception, right? Is people know that there are people who lost a ton of money, okay, and lost it very quickly, but they don't think that that's going to happen to them, right? I just didn't think that fit into the word bina, because bina, chachma is taking knowledge that you received and then applying it to a new particular. Bina is deriving new principles from the knowledge. So applying this well-known principle to a particular would not be bina, according to my understanding of bina.
I wonder if he's kind of saying what we were saying, but we were using from your understanding a little differently.
Are you saying we as in you and Zach just now, or we as in all of us last night?
Me and Zach just now.
Okay.
I feel like it's very similar. I mean, it's maybe he's saying. I mean, Mr. is saying that like if you put your energies, if you strain for money, you're not really putting your energies in the right place in the world. Maybe it'll take away from what really is important in the world. So
yeah.
That was our idea, but I feel like it also works over here.
Okay, so the thing we saw yesterday that supports that is, I think at least, or that implies that, is the Sadigon, who said, I think it was Sadigon, right? Do not weary. Do not weary yourself in your quest to become wealthy. Chadal mi binascha zu. Cease from your understanding which you employ for this. In other words, you're using all of your like brain power to become wealthy. Instead, you should apply it to something else.
Yeah, we were learning from your understanding is a consequence of the first half of pasuk and it'll cease. Like your understanding will cease.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's
So you can't read it that way because this is a command. Cease.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think this pasuk is discouraging a person from.
You're going with the Mrs. David, right? Yeah.
As I said, the harbos is like the harbos home.
Yeah.
Is that
V-boy.
Yeah. That if you reflect on the fact that like this all could collapse.
Yeah.
Then
okay.
Then you shouldn't put all of your energy into it.
Okay, that's good.
It's like, when a person is like spending like hours working on making like a tower, it's like card towers.
Yeah.
It's like 10 layers high.
Yeah.
And then someone if someone opens the door like too quickly,
yeah,
then it's just gonna collapse.
Oh, that's a really good muscle.
So,
okay, yeah.
So it's saying don't put all of your energy into it. Where, if it collapses, you'll just be left you'll have nothing.
Okay, that fits in really well with the Mitzvah David because it's implied he's saying v'chihu davar hamiskayim, is it something that lasts, which implies that if it were something that had lasting power, then maybe it does warrant putting in extra energy, right? But because it's not guaranteed to last, then you should do this. Okay, good. So that would that explains everything except for the mibinaska hadal, which I feel like we should try to understand. It's not like that has to be integral to the idea. I just wonder why he emphasizes that. Yeah. And the funny thing also. All right, I don't see. Okay, Mishlei pasukim just from the genre are a certain length, right? For example, you can't have a Mishlei pasuk that's 2 words, right? Like that's just not going to be a thing. And also, you can't have a Mishlei pasuk that's 20 words, right? There's, I don't know the rules, but like in Tanakh, there are certain Sfarim that, like Chumash, can have very short psukim and very long psukim. There's no real rules, but these are proverbs, right? So you want to make them as small as possible. And that's why he'll bust into 2 psukim if there are, if it needs more words. So I feel like if this phrase, I think intuitively, the reason why I think this is integral is if it weren't there, you could just say, Al tiga lahashir, ki something, because it's like a bird, and when you look at it, it'll go away. The fact that he devotes another full pasuk to it leads me to believe that this is integral to the idea. Yeah.
Maybe it's saying from your understanding, maybe it means that you're right now if you're straining in becoming rich, it's a very bad misguided understanding that you should cease.
Sorry, say it one more time. I just didn't catch it.
Meaning someone who's toiling or straining to become rich, he kind of has a distorted idea of his understanding in relationship to this. Just saying like
okay.
sees that.
Okay, good. All right, so that fits in very well with Chaim's approach. Okay, which let's pivot to Chaim's approach now, unless anyone has anything on the Metzudas David. All right, so Chaim, you want to say your approach again? Because I found proofs for it.
Okay, yeah. The general thing was that twirling and straining comes from a fantasy about a thing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the work you're putting in would be like equal to like the work you should be putting in. So strain means that you have an improper relationship with the thing, and you're overexerting yourself.
Yeah.
To try to get the thing. And
it's like there's a certain franticness or
I think generally like with wealth, like it comes from like a place of like a fantasy about what the thing is, right? And what the thing is not. And by understanding what money actually is, so very similar to like last time. For understanding what it actually is, you'll stop straining to become rich. Because you realize that money is the ultimate need.
Right.
And then in the second pasuk, how do I understand this?
You following so far? Okay. Because I think that's what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot how I understood this.
I think you're saying the person like end up.
I think
money, and then it was just gonna be gone because.
I don't know. I thought it was because you're gonna always be engaged in like the fantasy of money. It's never gonna be enough. It's always gonna
that's what you're saying. Right. So I was thinking about that more, and I think that fits in very well with the mashal because it's always out of your reach, like the bird that's like in the heavens.
We had a little different twist on it.
Oh, hold on, let me just flesh out this idea a little bit more. The proof is one of the best money pasukim in Koheles. Ohev kesef lo yisba kesef. You only need the first half. One who loves money will not be satisfied with money. Okay. Umi ohev behamon lo tuvuah gam ze hevel. And this is a hard one to translate. One who loves behamon. So that either hamon is just another word for like a lot of money, or it means like abundant possessions and not grain. This is also hevel. Okay. We only need the first half. The one who loves kesef will not be satisfied with kesef. So there are a lot of meforshim. I mean, I think plain shot is that's what you're saying. But I really like the way the Rambam talks it out. He says, Mishu ohev kesef lo yisba kesef ki ein lezeh hashlemus tachlis. This perfection has no end, right? You cannot become. There are certain perfections that do have an end, like completing a puzzle, right? You complete it and it's done, right? But perfection of wealth is infinite. V'hamashal, the mashal or the example. I think he's not explaining the mashal in the. Oh, there's no much on the pasuk. Okay. Shemisha asaf kinyan rav yakshok shihi elo miha kinyanim yoser mizeh. Someone who has a lot of possessions will yearn to have more possessions than this. That's not really a mashal. Let me give it an actual mashal. The Rambam in not Mishlei. Why am I talking Mishlei? Because I love Mishlei. Okay. Eov. Yeah, that's exactly the Rambam I'm going to. Yeah. Very good. This is in Monevuchim 3:12. Why has Windows been doing this lately? Okay. Does he say sapphire?
He definitely says sapphire.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, okay, good. Very good. So he says, he says, so he's explaining why the goods of the soul are why excessive desires are bad. Okay. So he says that the sufferings of the body from indulgences are twofold. The suffering you get from excess, seeking excess, is twofold. Those of the soul are twofold. First, such rows of the soul as are the necessary consequence of changes in. Okay, I forget that. Okay, here we go. Secondly, the soul, when accustomed to superfluous things, acquires a strong habit of desiring things which are neither necessary for the preservation of the individual nor for that of the species. This desire is without a limit, whilst things which are necessary are few in number and restricted within certain limits. But what is superfluous is without end. Here's this example. For example, you desire to have your vessels of silver, but golden vessels are still better. Others have even vessels of sapphire, or perhaps they can be made of emerald or rubies or any other substance that could be suggested. Those who are ignorant and perverse in their thought are constantly in trouble and pain because they cannot get as much of superfluous things as a certain other person possesses. They, as a rule, expose themselves to great dangers, for example, by sea voyage or service of kings, and all this for the purpose of obtaining that which is superfluous and not necessary. When they thus meet with the consequences of the course which they adopt, they complain of the decrees and judgments of God. They begin to blame the time and wonder at the lack of justice in its changes, that it has not enabled them to acquire great riches with which they could buy large quantities of wine for the purposes of making themselves drunk, and numerous concubines adorned with various kinds of ornaments of gold, embroidery, and jewels for the purposes of driving themselves to sexual indulgence beyond their capacities, as if the whole universe existed exclusively for the purpose of giving pleasure to these low people. Love that sentence. One sentence, right? No, not the whole thing, but yeah. This is the Rambam. So then,
like chills. It's like so good.
Yeah. Now that's a mushal. Okay, so back to the Rambam though. He says, "Umi roy sheyieh ohev behamon hakinyanim mizula shiavalo shum taino v'toelas mehakinyan ahu." Oh no, actually that's for the second. Oh yeah. He says, "Umi roy sheyieh ohev behamon hakinyanim mizula shiavalo shum taino v'toelas mehakinyan ahu." I think he's saying, if you have possessions which are more than you actually need to get the use or the pleasure, so then why you have them? Like you see those. To me, the examples like the celebrities. I think Jerry Seinfeld's like this. I think that he has tons of luxury cars, right? Like I think like tons. I understand you love driving a car, Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, comedians in cars get coffee, which is a great show. But if you're not even using it, like that's a different level of insanity, And then he says, "Lefish in ba'alav smech b'chalko." Person who owns these things is not happy with this portion. Ki shleimus hakinyan, the perfection of possession, which is again one of the Rambam's the four types of excellence you can get of possession, body, character, and mind, and possession is the lowest one. Even though it does have some utility, like we explained earlier, you won't find a benefit in this manner. Okay, so I think that is a good shot of this pasuk, which is striving to become wealthy means going beyond what you need. Okay, and remember, needs going to tzedakah, there is such a thing as psychological needs. Okay, but there is a difference between psychological needs and fantasy. Okay, how you diagnose yourself is a different matter, and it's not. It's not uniform. In other words, what is a psychological need for one person might be excess for another person, as we see from the halakha of tzedakah, that the guy who is accustomed to riding on a horse and having an eved run in front of him, halakha defines that as a need of his, a psychological need. Whereas if you never had that lifestyle, then it's not really a need of yours, So mi binascha chadal, use your understanding to cease striving for wealth. Meaning, if you actually look at wealth for what it really is, or assess what your needs really are, then that is then you're going to stop doing this. Now, why is that bina? Can we explain why that's bina?
What needs more explanation?
Well, I just in terms of the difference between bina and chachma, of like derived knowledge as opposed to received knowledge.
Well, I think because when you're straining yourself to get the thing, you aren't in a situation where you don't have the money yet. Or you're not in a situation where you feel that this is like a never-ending cycle yet because you're still doing it, or you have. But it seems like that's more seeing like the long, like the big picture of what money actually is, which you can't really just get from like this snapshot.
So it's talking about like understanding the system of the psyche and of money or something like that, and how the two interplay. Okay, and then once you look at it, it's gone. So that's another thing that we said yesterday, which is that that like the problem is, when you don't have it, then it looks like it'll make you happy. But once you get it, then you become dissatisfied with it. And if you want an elaboration on that, listen to D2, Security and Wealth. Okay, yeah. All right, that's back from the early days when I was still fluent in certain TTL numbers. Okay, and it'll fly heavenward because it's always out of your reach. Yeah. Okay, good. That's a nice complete idea. Okay, let's do the Meiri. Oh, you have another idea?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Meiri is going to be in line with the other thing you told me, by the way. Yeah. Or that you said.
Yeah. So the main question that we were trying to answer was, like, is this pasuk really telling us not to be rich, or is there like a middle ground?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if we answered if there's a middle
ground.
So
the way we've answered it so far is. So yeah, we've had two answers to that question so far. Answer number one is that that it's not directly telling you don't strive to be rich. It's saying don't overly invest yourself in something that can go away in an instant, and I think that it is possible to become rich without making that mistake, right? There are different strategies that you can do for that. And then according to the Chaim's interpretation, then it is telling you not to strive to become like rich if you're measuring wealth by chasing the fantasy, right? But it's not wealth in terms of the objective amount. In other words, it's not saying like you have to like keep your income to like X $1,000 per year. Yeah.
So I have a feeling it's more aligned with time.
Yeah.
We were just learning that like in life we have choices. And put our energy.
Yeah.
Like we either put it in chachma and understanding the world and Torah and the truth, whatever. And then we have putting our resources in making money, like a job, and it could be for $100,000, it could be for anything, right? So like it's telling us that if you strain yourself to become rich, it's just you're going to be kind of usurping the true ideas of what you're supposed to do. And so for the second half of the fourth pasuk, pasuk Dalet, I think even according to your way of saying is like, no, for that understanding should stop. But at the same time, you should, don't let it take away from your true understanding of what the reality is. And the second half of the pasuk was, I think we said completely different than what you guys were saying. It's almost like the blink of an eye is almost like when you die, none of this will take with you. Like it'll fly away in an instant. Like it doesn't make a difference.
Where do you get the death part from?
Oh, I mean that's just life. Meaning like in a blink. Meaning like if you cast your eyes upon it, right? You'll be so so entranced by making this money. When you wake up, 6 years later, you'll realize that it didn't mean anything.
I mean, I agree with the idea. I don't quite see how it fits into the pasuk.
It seems like two things are like popping in my mind.
Yeah.
The way I was thinking about it. The one is like what I said, which is like and also like the Gemara about davening towards facing the menorah or the shofar. If you want the riches, you face towards the menorah, and then you get the chachma, and then the chachma like shows you how to live in line with like your needs. Right. And then that's like
okay. All right, that's good. So let's read the Meiri, because I think Meiri is takes it in the approach that you guys are taking it. So the Meiri starts on the previous page. Where are you? Oh, thank you. All right, so it really is on the page I was on. So this is a lesson that after you have motivated yourself in your diligence, meaning in your work, and you've attained from your wealth what you need, lo yiga laharbos lo bo biyoser midai. Don't exert yourself to increase more than is enough. Aval yechdal mibinaso. You should cease from your understanding. This is like you're saying, from using your understanding to be involved in pursuing wealth. And you should involve yourself in what the purpose of kavod and hatzlacha is. In other words, remember that wealth is a means to an end, and the end is perfection, right? Is human perfection. And so obviously you need the means in kemach in Torah. If you don't have your needs, you can't have Torah. But then once you've gotten to that point, don't keep on expending your intellectual energy and time in pursuing money. And as a reason for this, he says, after a person has attained what he needs from his money, he should not toil in it. Then he goes to the Mitzvah David's idea. It's something that is finite and impermanent. And one little thing can cause you to lose it. Now, here's where he gives another interpretation for it, which I think is just interesting. He says, once you cease guarding it, it will be lost. The ta'uf does not mean to fly away. It means darkness. And he quotes two pasukim, Yov 10:22, which says, Eretz Efasa, which is translated as the land the darkness of the land, and then Yeshaya Ches Chaf Beis, which is it says Mu'uf Tzuka, misfortune and darkness. So he says, so what does this mean? When you darken your eyes about the nature of the money, about the money, and you become lax in dealing with it, then it's not there. So he's emphasized, therefore you should only strive to make enough money for your needs. So he's saying something different here. So his first idea was that money can go away really quickly, okay? But then he's saying like this, I think he's alluding to the fact that if you are just concerned with what you need, so then that's pretty easy to maintain. But the more wealth you have, the more wealth management you're going to need to constantly be involved in order to maintain it, especially if the wealth involves properties and businesses where you're going to have to constantly attend to, unless you take Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week advice and and apply that, and then you only have to work for 4 hours a week. But but he didn't know about Tim Ferriss. So he's saying that's another reason why it can go away really quickly. And then he says, "V'yesh meforshim behefech." Some say the opposite, that ta'uf means light. Okay, inyan havraka, like flashes of light, v'ora, and light. Kamo ose shachar ayefa, that God makes the dawn light. And
everyone knows that logic.
Ta'ufa kaboker tihye, you will become light like the dawn. Kolomer kishetachshov lahayir einecha, when you think to lighten your eyes, v'lasum hashkachaschav yunecha alav, and to supervise and study it, the wealth. And place your analysis on it. Yovad mi bein yadach, it'll be lost. I don't think that's a really different idea, actually, now that I think about it. V'yesh meforshim lashon kfila. Some say it means to fold. The kafalta, the targum of the ta'uf. Okay, so targum translates as ta'uf. Klomer b'ma'at rega, in a quick moment. Bikful afaf, when you fold your eyelids. So that's like the blink of an eye, right? V'hidabko b'chavero, and you blink your eyes together. Hu avad, it's gone. So that's like David was saying. You can find mashal l'kalos merutzaso v'lechto l'ibud. Wings as a mashal for swiftness of motion and ease of disappearing. U'kenesher mashal l'rov richuko ad hisyashu milashu v'elav. And bird is a mashal for it being very far away, and you'll give up hope of going after it. Yeah. So the main idea of the Meiri, I think, is basically it's a combination of what Chaim was saying and what the Matsudas is saying, which is going beyond your needs is going to be in the territory of fantasy, and then it's not worth it because it could be gone, and you're going to have to maintain it, and like the second you look away, then it's going to be gone. So it's just not worth the thing. All right, now derech nistar, Bekius advice. Okay, derech nistar pirshu chacham. This is from Chazal. Shlo lasos girsa chavilos. Don't try to bundle your Bekius. Okay, Vihi he'ara al seder halimud. This is a lesson about the order of your learning. Shlo yihi derech kfitza v'harisa. Don't try skipping and breaking through. Ki zeh sibas hashichacha. This will be the cause of forgetting. Okay, we have to understand what this means, but let me just pair it with Rashi. Rashi also says, in a classic non-literal Rashi fashion, Rashi says, Altika lahashir lasos girsa chavilos kisof shetish kachana. Oh, that's the different Rashi that I wanted. Hold on, I was looking this up. Oh yeah, so Rashi. So I was trying to find the sources that he quotes. I couldn't find a single one of them. I didn't look up all of them yet. No, the footnote on the Torah Chaim. It says on the so it says on the Meiri. Let's say Megillah Yud Ches Amud Beis. Yeah. Megillah Yud Ches Amud Beis, and I looked up Girsa. Doesn't have Girsa. Chavilos doesn't have Chavilos. There is a thing that Rashi says. I tried that. Yeah. So Migras Girsin. So there is this thing Migras Girsin. Hold on. Where is this in the Gemara? Migras. Yeah, Hilchos Tefillin ein tzrich and sirtud, mezuzos tzrich and sirtud. ID nichtavos shalom yaksav. My time migros girisin. So you can write these things by They can be written not min haksab, meaning you don't need to be copying it from a set text. My time, migros grisin, shagrus b'fiakol, because they're secure in everyone's mouth. But I don't think that's what the Gemara he's talking about. So you can look at it if you want. Let's just try to figure out from the Meiri. So what does it mean to make? So girsa means like Bekius, right? Bekius means like text. Okay. Don't make your Bekius chavilos into bundles. Okay. And then what do the Meiri say? Which is shlo yihi derech kfitza v'harisa. Don't try to make it. Kfitza means leaping or skipping or jumping, and harisa is like breaking through. He says because that's the cause of shechacha. So what do you think he's? What do you think he's saying before we even get to like
with Bekius?
Yeah.
That like it's a slow process and you gotta do it slow and steady.
Yeah, right. So
but then you're not internalizing it. Then
yeah,
obviously the reason for forgetting.
Yeah, right. So I think it's beautiful how it fits into Daled at least. So how is he going to read Daled? I think he doesn't say it.
Maybe he's saying how like there are like get rich quick schemes.
Yeah. Get rich and Bekius quick. Yeah.
But yeah, like maybe like the richness is like the wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
But if there's an appropriate way to get there.
Yeah.
Wait,
I don't know.
He says don't strain to get Bekius.
Don't strain. Yeah. So he's saying straining to get Bekius means making your Bekius chavilos, which is doing it in a quick, in a leaping, breaking through way. Yeah. How's that straining? Yeah.
Because you're straining to get the bina, which is the like star, like breaking through.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So that would be different advice. Okay. That'd be different advice. I agree with that idea, and he does. Meiri actually says that elsewhere. The only reason I don't think that works out is because he says that it's the cause of shechacha. I think the problem with that is that you won't arrive at the right idea, not that you'll forget what you learned. Okay. That is my thing. Yeah, you found it?
Yeah, I found it. It's
here. Let me find it. It is in Cehrovin though.
Yeah, Nun Daled. It's about
Cehrovin Nun Daled Amud Beis. And what's the word that I should search for?
Hone.
Okay. Not Rafuna. Yeah. Okay. Amar. There's another Mishlei pasuk. Amar Rav Schora. That's kind of ironic. Amar Rav Huna. Is that really his name, Rav Schora?
I guess so.
Okay, that's a great name for marketing. You want to do business with me? My name is business. Okay. Yeah. Amar Rav Huna. My dichsiv. What does it mean when it says hon mehevel yimat? That wealth from nothingness will diminish. V'kovitz al yad yarbeh. Is that really the pasuk? Yeah, I guess so. And one who gathers overhand will increase. Im ose adam toraso chavilos mismai. If a person makes his Torah into bundles and bundles, then it will diminish. Im lav kovitz al yad yarbeh. And if not, then when he gathers by hand, he will increase. So let's see if Rashi says. Do you know if there's a Rashi?
I don't know.
Okay, let's actually see if there's a Meiri, because that's what we were learning.
I have an idea on that.
Sure.
Bundles versus like gathering my hand.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see them. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
It seems like bundles is like grouping it, like you're not having like a consistent like learning pattern. Versus like by hand, it's something that like you have to
slow and steady.
I guess you have to do it slowly.
Yeah.
You have to like do it carefully.
Yeah.
And it's like a consistent thing.
Yeah.
And like bundling is just like, I go to my field once a week and I pick up big old.
Right. That's not going to do it. Right. Then you're not going, and that makes sense that you're not going to remember it. Right. If you do massive amounts of Bekius, let's say you have like a Bekius dump every week. Like I'm just going to go and I'll just do 3 hours of Bekius, and then I won't come back to it again until later. You're not going to really remember it.
And that's, I think, straining because it's a heavy load, right?
Yeah.
It's like again, if you go in once a week and you grab like one bundle of hay and you try to like bring it back, like it's too heavy.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have a shot of that. I just want to see what the Meiri says first here. Lois Yash mina limud, and then maybe there's not our thing. Okay, yeah. So I think the way to read this is like this. Al tiga lahashir, don't exert yourself to become wealthy, which means to try to just get tons and tons of like rushing through the Bekius. Rather, your bina should be the cause of you stopping that In other words, stop to understand, like stop out of understanding, out of a desire to understand. And I have a this hits me right in the soul, because I have so I'm learning with let me see if I can show you with Yosef. We're going through a tshuva of Ravad Yosef, and if you've never been through a tshuva of Ravad Yosef, it is insane, right? So this is like this 9-page tshuva with it's just like a cascade of sources and achronim, So what we were trying to do was, it's just insane. So this is on whether you're allowed to change your Hebrew pronunciation from like Ashkenazic to Sfarad or otherwise. So I think we didn't set out to do this, but we tried in the name of trying to get the big picture. We tried to like go fast to like get his main points. And what we found what ended up happening was every time we got together to learn, we would have to devote a half an hour to rereading slowly everything we read the last time. And we were just getting nowhere. And what I realized is I had to start, so I started this yesterday, making an outline of everything. In order to be able to like review with an outline to try like actually like understand stuff. This is back in my smicha days. I had to do this for everything, of just taking everything and making it into a concise outline so that I can like at a glance get everything. And like that's just the only way to go through it. And otherwise you're just gonna forget everything. And that's literally what happened. Like every time we just forgot everything. So I think that's how I would understand the pasuk Daled. Can we understand pasuk Hey now? In terms of not Hey now, pasuk Hey now. What's with the bird analogy? It'll fly away like a bird. Now you could just say that that's just going to mean that it's going to instantly vanish, like everything we said before. Everything we said about wealth is true about Bekius, which is if you don't review it, you lose it. Yeah.
I think it's also like the fact that it goes to the sky. Like it always goes higher and higher, and I'm saying like there's no limit to like the amount of wealth that you want.
Wait, you're going with the Bekius?
Yeah.
No, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. We're trying to apply it to the derech nistar right now. I mean, I think it's fine if you just take those same ideas and you apply it to the Bekius, which is that it's not lasting. You have to, especially with Meiri, you have to maintain it. That is something, by the way, about Bekius, is if you don't maintain it, it goes away, which is why I scarcely remember much of the abundant, like any of the abundant Bekius I did in my yeshiva years, but I remember all the Rambams because I'm constantly going over Rambams, and so like it gets drilled into my mind. Yeah.
I think that's what Yoshua was just saying. There is also like, as you're learning more, then like if you had done like Bekius on like one dot, like you can remember that one dot.
Yeah.
As you're going more and more and more, then like when you have to keep, like if you're looking to remember these things, then
yeah,
you get higher and higher the amount that you need to.
Yeah.
And I also think so far as the bird thing, that they're not like an easy thing to catch.
Yeah.
Since they're able to fly away.
Says a man speaking from experience. Yeah. Yeah.
So like if that's what you're doing, then it's like if you're not like just like fully sitting there like going through the process that like all that wouldn't be necessary to like go and catch a bird.
Yeah.
Then they're just gonna fly away.
Right.
They have
yeah.
much easier time than you do.
Yeah. That's good. Good muscle. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if this is like a valid approach, but is it possible to say that the wings and griffin vulture part are not necessarily negative?
Interesting.
Like maybe like once you like sprout your Bekius, like it'll like incrementally like.
That's interesting.
Like that. Like,
that's interesting. So what's the first half of 5 though?
I think if you. Oh yeah, if you stop constantly nurturing it, then it won't get this good.
Okay.
Wings for itself and like tearing.
Interesting. Let me just see if that reads through. If you take your eyes away from it, then it won't be there. So you can, I think, read key sometimes as rather. So this is I'm stretched.
Yeah.
Rather, you should make for wings. I'm not dismissing the possibility.
Yeah, I think if
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was saying even with saying for it will, he's just showing you like the outcome of nurturing it. It'll end up like sprouting like wings for itself, or make wings for itself, and then it'll end up soaring, and that thing will be like your.
Oh man, that gives me a severe autopilot Bekius fantasy that if there's only thing you can do to make it like sprout wings and then like take care of itself. Yeah.
Well, I think if you're doing it bit by bit.
Yeah.
If you like look directly at what you've done, you're like, oh, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Then it's like gone. But it will make.
Sorry, hold on a second. I can't hear Isaac saying. Just sorry. Start again.
Yeah.
that if you're doing it properly, where you're like doing it bit by bit rather than doing kavilas.
Yeah.
And then when you look at what you did on any given day, you're like, oh, this wasn't anything. So it'll be like in enu. But it will sprout wings and like so.
Yeah, I like the sentiment of where you're going.
Yeah.
I feel like we got to read it to the pasuk.
Okay, but
I just wanted to ask if we're going to discuss the Mishlei Podcast thing.
Oh, the Mishlei Podcast thing I think is answered with what you're saying, because if you're relating to this is if you're relating to this to wealth in a Koheles way, which is expecting more out of the wealth than it can give you, or thinking it's going to last forever, then that's Hevel.
Yeah,
that's Ohev Kesef, Lo Yisba Kesef. But Mishlei is telling you to make wealth in a rational way, which is to take care of your needs and to not fall into these traps of thinking it's going to last forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just going back on plus dollar.
Yeah, sure.
Isn't Bina talking about deriving knowledge from knowledge?
Yeah.
Weren't we just saying like understanding, not like with the derech nistar in Meiri?
Yeah.
We said that maybe not hadal is you'll know to like stop skipping around, right?
No, I was my shot was the guy who is trying to do chavilos style Bekius and not doing what we call Bekiyun, right?
Yeah.
Like the antidote is stop rushing through Bekius in order to do Bekiyun. Like from your understanding, from your desire for understanding, or from your endeavor to do understanding, that will make you stop doing the chavilos.
Then what knowledge are you using to drive what knowledge?
No, you're stopping to actually derive knowledge from your Bekius instead of just like plowing through it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I wanted to read it. Yeah, I don't know. This is a little loose because derech nistar. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to address the Bekius fantasy, which I think would have.
Yeah.
I think it's true. I mean, I learned from where I started in Bekius to where I'm at now. Which I'm on great Bekius.
Yeah.
But when you do work on it slowly, you do get better at it. In that sense, it does become easier to do more.
So I that's true, but I think that's not relevant to the Meiri's approach, because that's talking about skills. He's talking about forgetting the content. Yeah.
And I think when you do it slowly, it makes more of an impression upon you.
Yeah.
It's funny that he quoted.
Oh, we're over time. Yeah.
But he quoted Megillah, and I learned Gemara and Megillah very quickly, and I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
And so I I had this feeling like this exact thing.
Yeah. Okay, this is a fruitful pasuk. Yeah. All right. Is that from last night?